Okay, today we're going to have a quick look at these brass lights. They look unusual at a glance, and that's okay, but there's a lot more to it. We moved on from the technology from these lights, but it's really interesting to have a look at the history of these cars and how they work. It's quite fascinating, so come on along. All right, Alan, it looks like it's another day with a brass car, but it's a little bit special here. We're seeing some shine happening. Tell us about the light on this Mitchell. Why is it glowing so beautifully here?
Well, I don't do Concours really. I like to restore cars to drive, race, and compete and all that stuff. But there's a Concours this next weekend in Scottsdale, so I'm pretty prominent person here in the car thing, and I'm one of the few people who have really old cars. So I thought I would make the car a little cleaner, but I haven't cleaned the car yet at all. But you can kind of cheat on a brass car. Okay. Because you have things you can shine up like these things.
Yeah.
You know, this brass light looked like that brass light yesterday morning. So that's a light that's just nice, but not polished up.
Sure.
So the same luster that has or lack of, this had yesterday morning.
That's incredible.
And now it has more.
Yeah.
So the reason I called you today is there's a lot of ingredients in making a brass lamp that are different than any other lamp on any other modern car, even a modern classic car. You know, they had lenses, which I'll show you, are 1.5 inches thick. You know, they had dirt roads only with rocks, so they didn't want to shatter their 1/8 inch thick or 3/16 inch thick glass. So this glass is 1.5 inches thick.
Wow.
It's not green glass, it's clear glass that's that thick.
Right.
And then we'll show you it separately, but in fact, it's got a mirror reflector on the back side, and that's also about, if you measure from one point farthest forward and farthest back, it's also about 1.5 inches thick.
Wow. So it's a very concave, a deep concave design.
So this is the lens,
wow,
the headlight lens.
Wow.
And the reflector is about the same size. It's a different shape.
Yeah.
So why does a 115-year-old lamp on a car need a lens that weighs that much weight and that thick? Because there's simply a flame inside of it. So you're taking a match and you're lighting a candle. Yes, it's got carbide and water pellets making acetylene gas, but yet it's simply just a flame. And you want that flame to be thrown like a normal headlight. And it is very, very bright, and it's just simply a small flame. But they made lights that are brighter than my LED lights or HID lights in my new car. They're really bright, which in an episode or two we'll light them up and show you.
Yeah.
And then the silver on the inside, well, let's walk back over here a minute. Everything inside the housing is super bright. This is solid silver, not silver plate.
Really?
So this material, this is just a shiny on the back side. So you polish this piece, again you take it out, and so you have nothing but reflection on the inside of this. And then why is this so ornate? That's so ornate because that's where the flame, the fumes come out, the smoke comes out.
So it's venting the fixture.
So that's the chimney.
Okay.
So here is the chimney, not cleaned up.
Right.
So every piece is so complex because it has a purpose and a bug.
It's because you drive your cars,
Yep.
Alan.
So that's just, you just wouldn't think there'd be so much to this. It would be so complicated, but it is. So to clean a light like this, you don't stand here with some polish and clean it, because you're going to get all the white granules and all the little corners and nicks and crannies that are inside of this, so you'll never look right. Plus you actually need a wheel to polish it so you can actually clean it with some clear non-residue polish. So the only real way to clean it is you completely disassemble it. All of it. Wow. And you hold each piece super firmly, and you still only do the surfaces that won't grab anything. You know, if you tried to go on the inside of this on polishing, it's going to fling it across the room, and you're going to ruin this.
Yeah, right.
And you might have tried to polish some of it, but you might give yourself 100 hours worth of work repairing this piece.
Yeah.
So every piece is really complicated. And another thing about polishing up an antique car lamp is the advertising on the lamp, which is really neat. It's got the patent number, and it gives you maybe the date and the manufacturer. You know, every time you polish this on the wheel, it takes more of that imprint away. So in the lifetime of the car, which I think is at least 500 years, you know, you don't want to polish the lights more than 10 times in that 500 years, because you're going to wear it away. You polish them really well, very sparingly, i.e. not very often.
Look at that, solar clips. Yeah, what a difference it makes though when you do polish them. It's just amazing. Would you mind taking a minute to go over the different parts of the lamp?
We talked about this a little bit. This is the lens.
Right.
In fact, if you were in the middle of nowhere back 115 years ago and you took out both headlight lenses, put them back to back, you'd have the biggest magnifying glass to start your fire up.
Yes,
you could probably light concrete on fire with. So it's a pretty amazing.
Yeah, absolutely.
And the mirror starts here and finishes here.
Wow.
So that's just as thick.
That's crazy.
So I haven't cleaned this one up yet, but.
Yeah. Wow, okay.
And then this is the housing. I haven't finished taking this apart yet.
Okay.
But you continue to take the pieces off of it, and you polish what you can. And it turns out, if you polish what you can still do an unbelievable job. If you can't get a few places, don't worry about it, because it's so incredible anyway, you would never notice it. And also, what this is the bail handle. So why does it have a bail handle? Because this runs on acetylene gas. Well, it doesn't have acetylene gas on the car, but it's got a carbide generator, i.e. water and carbide pellets mixed together, creating acetylene gas. When you got home to your carriage house back in 1905, you turned the lights off, i.e. you turned the flame out, it's still generating acetylene gas for 5 or 6 more hours. So this has got a bail handle, so you would take the light off, i.e. that's the same bail handle that's on here, and you still have your connected hose to it, and you could take this in the house as a light for 6 hours for all night long. That's why it had a bail handle on it, because houses didn't have electricity in 1905.
Right, it was rare. Yes.
It wasn't common, at least.
That's right.
And there's whole communities that had no electricity at all. So your light would be from kerosene and candles, or if you had a car light, you could take it inside, as long as you took your carbide generator in with you also. So that's why they had the bail handles.
Gotcha.
And that's the same reason why the kerosene lights on the side have the bail handles. For the kerosene lights, you could take them off the car.
Okay. Wow, and I'm sure some cars eventually came up with them missing over time, since they were removable.
Yeah.
I would think.
But the reason that there's so many lamps that are still in great shape compared to the cars, there's probably 10 times more lamps than there are cars, because the lamps had a future use for another 30 or 40 years afterwards.
Good point, yes.
So,
whereas the car was out of date.
Yeah.
Now, all these parts, you mentioned the brass and also the silver. What did that do to the cost of these things?
This lamp set was $200 in 1905.
Okay.
$200, a cheap house, an inexpensive home would be $500. So this would be 40% of the cost of a home. Also, the multiplier, it seems like, is about 100 times for back at that time. So that'd be the same thing as maybe $20,000 today for your headlights. It might be $50,000 for your house.
Wow.
And I don't think you can get a cheap house today for $50,000.
No, right.
I think that. So it might be a couple hundred times.
Wow. Yeah. So the materials were just nothing but top quality materials.
And then the back. This is just the back, but it's thick brass. Right. That's thick.
Wow. Wow. Okay, so we got a new appreciation here of brass lights. Let me just have another look here. Can we understand how this mechanism works exactly? Since I see there's levers and nuts and screws.
Well, the gas goes into here.
Okay.
and the gas lights the filament, which would be in here.
Okay.
And there's different ones of these filaments that light. I don't have the one on it for acetylene at the moment.
Okay.
I have one for an electric attachment on it at the moment because I drive this car all the time.
Yeah.
So the next time we show the lamps, I'll have the actual orifice, double orifice, that lets the acetylene go out from, emit from, and will light that orifice, which creates the flame.
I think if people want to cue it up, we did show that on the Delage, I believe, on the front of the light.
Yeah, and I think I showed it on the Renault too.
Okay, right.
So those two are still with acetylene on them, and we'll take one of those two cars out and light those.
Yeah, that'll be a fun project.
Yep.
That'll be good. Okay, yeah, well, since you drive your cars, I get total respect for using electricity from time to time, since you may not want to deal with the acetylene going on. All right, well, that's fascinating. Well, Alan, thank you. I have personally a much better appreciation for these brass lights. It's really cool.
Thank you.